Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. One day, a small child on a Federation of Sol world looked up to his father and said, "Father, how are we going to defeat the barony of Letnev?" To which the father replied, "War, son." Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Twilight Imperium Prophecy of Kings from Fantasy Flight Games. Prophecy of Kings from Fantasy Flight Games is the long-awaited expansion to Twilight Imperium 4th Edition. It boasts new faction sheets, new minis, and mountains of new cards, tokens, and all sorts of goodies. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds about a lot of stuff here. There's great videos out there. You can see Fantasy Flight did some great videos detailing every card and every faction. I'm not going to do that here. I just want to talk about some of the basic concepts of this expansion and give you my thoughts. This expansion does include, as I say, 7 new factions that bring their own unique space empire perspectives and advantages to the game. You have 2 new player colors that are introduced into this game, which allow you to bring your player count for Twilight Imperium up to 8 players. You also have hyperlanes. Now, in Twilight Imperium 4th Edition before, if you played with 5 players, then there's a big space and 2 players weren't directly adjacent to each other, and that would give them some advantages. And the hyperlanes kind of directly can connect worlds, meaning that no one has an advantage because they don't have someone on the other side of them. Now, you also have leaders. You have agents, commanders, and heroes, and each of these you're going to place on a new board, specifically on your left, with your mech card. Your mechs are these kind of new mechanized infantry units that are going to have very specific advantages and powers that are going to go ahead and help you in your faction during the game. The leaders, again, also too have asymmetrical powers and abilities. Sometimes you'll have to unlock them. You'll have to achieve certain goals in order to turn them over to unlock them to get those even better abilities. You also have legendary worlds. Now, these legendary worlds, I think there are 4 of them, and when you take them, you actually get a special card that gives you a specific persistent bonus as long as you hold that particular world. Now, one of the big new concepts of this game is exploration. Exploration, of course, is when you go to a world, a cultural world, an industrial world, etc., and you land on that world, you can actually draw a card from that world. Now, the card may give you certain advantages, it may give you trade goods, and it may give you a relic fragment. And if you get 3 of those relic fragments, you can trade that in for a relic, which is a kind of a powerful card that will give you a very good advantage. You'll also have frontier cards. Now, frontier tokens will actually be placed in areas and regions of the board where there are no planets that exist, empty space or asteroid fields or what have you. And if you have the specific technology, you can go ahead then and turn in that token if you have a ship there and draw one of those cards that again will give you some kind of specific advantages or weird, wacky, fun thing. There's also a wormhole nexus in this game. This wormhole nexus is connected only to the gamma wormholes, but as soon as someone goes to that world and colonizes it, it opens up all the wormholes. So all the wormholes are adjacent to it, and it is adjacent to all of the wormholes. Now, there's a few other kooky things that happen here. For instance, one of the factions can actually capture units and capture ground and spaceships in battle, depending on how it goes, and they can kind of essentially ransom them back to the original player. So as I say, there is a ton of content on exactly what's in this expansion. I'm kind of late to the party. I looked for this expansion for a long time, and I was just not too long ago able to finally get a copy. So I'm not going to bother going through in detail everything. You can see other videos that do that. I just want to give you my thoughts on this expansion. So first of all, I love TI4. It came out in 2017. I was a big fan of TI3. That was my favorite game. Then TI4 comes out. That was my favorite game. It has since been eclipsed by War Room, but I really like TI4. Now, TI4, well, first of all, there's no game that gives you that grand space opera feel like TI4 does. A few that come close, but none really captures everything. And part of that is the depth of this game. It's not overly complex, but there's a lot going on, and you can kind of role play, and it's fun. I really enjoy this game quite a bit. There's no experience like it in gaming. But there was one, I like TI4 more than TI3 by quite a bit because it streamlined a lot of stuff, made tech better, made a lot of things better. But one thing that always bugged me was exploration. In TI3, you had the optional rule of distant suns. In distant suns, you could land on a planet, you could flip over a token, and all sorts of fun and kooky things could happen. And some people thought could be too devastating. You could land on a planet and your forces would be destroyed, or the planet would suddenly belong to somebody else on the board, and it would be really hard to advance under those conditions. So some people I had heard were not wild about that. I get it, but I liked that. So it was really missing in TI4. You kind of felt like one of the X of the 4Xs was missing. The exploration was missing because you didn't really have that sense of exploration in TI4. Well, this expansion fixes that. Now you've got exploration. And I like it. Generally, I like what exploration brings to the game. However, what is missing is that sense of danger. Most of the cards give you things, little advantages. I don't recall if there's any negatives. I'd have to go through the deck again, but I don't recall seeing any negatives when we played. But I kind of miss that. I kind of miss something that hurts you when it comes out. And potentially devastating. I mean, to me, that was kind of the spice and sugar of the game. And there's a lot of spice and sugar in this game, but that was one of them. I really enjoyed that with Distant Suns, and so I like the exploration here. I think it's pretty fun. I would have liked it to be a little bit meaner. I also like that wormhole conduit there, how suddenly every wormhole is adjacent to that one world, and it kind of gives everybody kind of an ability to kind of move even further. I mean, wormholes always did this. This kind of opens up wormholes even more, and again, it does that quite well, and I really enjoyed that quite a bit. The leaders are good. Again, this is another spice and sugar. I really like how the leaders work and how you have to kind of work toward a little goal to unlock them in order to get those better rewards. Now, sometimes it's just not in the cards. You just don't necessarily want to go in the direction to unlock those, but when you do, it's actually pretty sweet. It's fun to have those specific advantages in the game. And then the mechs are cool too, and they've got some pretty interesting stats, and it's kind of a new fun way for ground combat, but then with their special abilities, it mixes things up quite a bit as well. So we played this game, and I've just played with the expansion one time. I played TI4 many times, and I've just played with the expansion here once. But I really did feel that all told, when you put all of this stuff into the game, I really did feel like it expanded the game. It made it better. I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and they said, this expansion does what any good expansion should do. It enhances gameplay without bogging it down, and that's true. I didn't feel that this bogged it down at all. I didn't feel like any of the new concepts made the game any longer or more. Now we got to do this step. There was really none of that. I think the new cards, there's some new laws that come out that are fun, and there's a few of the new strategy cards too. And I just, everything clicked, everything worked well, and it's I think very intuitive. And so much so that, if I was teaching TI4 to a new player, I wouldn't hesitate to just include the expansion in the rules overview that I give them. Which is to say, this is an essential expansion. I don't think, if somebody just says, you want to play TI4, I don't have the expansion, I'd play it with them. But if I have a choice any day of the week, I'm going to play it with the expansion. It is an essential expansion. It is as good as the game is. This game makes it that much better. It's just more fun stuff. I really enjoyed the Prophecy of Kings expansion. I love this game, and I love all the new stuff that this expansion brings to it. So the recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Twilight Imperium Prophecy of Kings is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. I ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We'd also ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we check out military history and other topics like that. We have a good time there. Please subscribe to that as well. And if you like this video, please give us a thumb on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot. We appreciate it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I'm going to have to say goodbye to you, but I'd like to leave you with this thought. I played Twilight Imperium many times, and I've come to the conclusion that the most powerful weapon in the entire Twilight Imperium universe, Edward Cullen.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
There. And then once he's distracted, you can go in.
How am I going to get my planet back, though?
You're not.